Welcome to The Roofer Show with your host, Dave Sullivan. You found the podcast that helps roofing contractors grow their businesses, make more money, and have more free time.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Roofer Show podcast, the place to be if you want to grow a more profitable roofing business. I am your host, Dave Sullivan, the Roofer Coach, and with me, we've got some contractors, kick-ass contractors today, and we're going to have a great conversation. We should have hit record about 20 minutes ago after we were talking, and we're just going to get into this stuff that this is really going to be helpful for roofing contractors. We've got John Tillery, Savannah, Georgia. How you doing, John?
Doing well.
And Scott T. Bay from Rainstopper Roofing. What's happening?
What's up?
It's all good. Let's get started. I want to talk about this thing. We started off talking about, it's almost a franchise model. We started getting into discussion about franchise and how Scott says he can take a roofing business that's doing about 500 grand and within 1 year, turn it into a $2 million business. Okay. Now I agree with that because I could do the same thing. And I call this roofer in a box. Okay. Because we're talking about putting in systems, processes, showing everybody how to do it because we've all done it over and over again. And you're right. It's pretty easy once you get that stuff down there. Okay. So this is what franchises do. But I'll tell you, these franchises are not working out, whether it's Honest Abe's or Mighty Dog. I work with a number of these guys, and I'll tell you, the failure rate is pretty damn high. There's a lot of these guys that are just going out, and I talk with them, and I can see their financials. I can see what's happening. I don't think the model works. So, Scott, tell me how you're going to do that. You got a $500,000 business. How are you going to turn it into a $2 million business in 1 year? And what are some of the problems that we were discussing?
Yeah, I think the model can work. I think that there's definitely an opportunity there for young contractors. I know from my personal experience, I mean, the amount of money I lost in the first 5 years were barely profitable at the end of year 5. So the amount of money lost during that time was so much.
And why'd you lose so much money there? I can answer that question because I did the same thing. But
yeah, I mean, it's real simple. Year 5, I hired a business coach and I got an education, and it was way freaking cheaper than trial and error. I always learn by trial and error. You try something, you test it, you fail, you try something new. That's what you should do. But if you can just pay for the education up front, it's way freaking cheaper, man. And, for me, I think you could take a $500,000 contractor, and part of the reason the model doesn't work is because the guy that's trying to do it. And just like you're saying, you have to still work. Like, it's not like you pay me to come give you all of my SOPs and all my procedures and all these tools, and you just hit play and you don't touch nothing. That's not the case. And I think that's where the fail rate comes from. I think people say, well, if you buy into this franchise, you write me a check for X, you give me X a month or X in revenue, and this thing is just going to make you a bunch of money, which that's bullshit. That's not how it works. Not saying I could build a franchise model that would sustain franchisees to go to $20 million. But if you're wanting to boost yourself quickly to that $2 to $5 million mark, I think, John and I both have systems that we could implement these things in a month or two. And I mean, it literally you wouldn't even need to necessarily hire. I think you could do $2 million as a sole owner, operator, wearing every hat other than maybe answering the phone,
and that's what you should be doing. That's how you make money.
Yeah. You could wear every single hat except answering the phone, and you could get up to $2 million, I believe. You just got to have the right processes and the right tech in place to wear some of the hats for you, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that have to be done, but there's a lot of things that an inexpensive piece of technology can take off your plate while you're out making real money.
Agreed. John, what do you think?
Same thing. I mean, you $2 million is kind of like the new $1 million. You should be hitting that. If your average, even if you're in the Southeast, or just your average ticket's 12,000 or 13,000 or 15,000, something a low ticket for a roof. It's just not really that many roofs. So there are ways. Everybody's like, how do I get new leads? Well, here's the ways that we do it in our market. Do you understand how your market buys home services? Do you understand? And then if you don't understand that, you need to educate yourself. And on top of that, maybe listen to someone who's done it in a similar market and try and actually follow through and do those things that you know you're supposed to be doing. And you'll be able to hit those numbers. There's a lot of things from the lead generation to the pre-qualification, to the inspection, to the proposal, obviously, sales follow-up, then the production part. Are you getting 5-star reviews? There's all those questions somebody who's done it before can answer. Hey, here's what I've done. This didn't work. This does work for me. It may work for you. Those kind of conversations are invaluable if you can have those earlier than later.
All right. Well, here's the answer, because I work with hundreds of contractors and a lot of these guys. And here's the problem with the franchise model. It attracts guys from outside the industry that have no idea, have no construction, no home service experience. Not all, but a number of these, okay? And they're coming in from a totally different industry, and they've heard, oh, this is great money. I mean, I want to work for myself. I can do all these things, control my time. Well, you ain't working for yourself. You're working for your customers, and they're going to work your ass off. And you control your time. Hey, you're going to be working, 60, 70-hour weeks, to get this thing started. And it's just a lot harder. You can have all the systems and processes in place, because that's what we talk about all the time. I like roofer in a box. Okay. You're exactly right. I can set this up, as we all can, because we've all done it. Here's what you need to do. And you're right. If you get the right tech installed, you've got a couple of VAs that are doing certain things for you. You don't have to have a bunch of sales guys. I mean, because you can't afford them. When you're starting off, the numbers don't work. And this is something that I want to get into, because we were talking about that. But I'll tell you, here's the real problem is that, and I hate to say it, but there's a lot of guys that should not be running their own business. And you know what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to be able to put this together. And this is one of the problems that we have, because when we go to exit, I work with a lot of companies that are we're coming up with an exit strategy on how they're going to get out of this business. How do you sell it? Well, you've got private equity. That's one way. I always think your best way is to bring up somebody from inside and you train them to take it over. Well, the problem is that we run into all the time. Here's these sharp guys, but when it comes down to it, they just don't have what it takes. They're not willing to, because you're talking about risking everything. How do you put up the cash? Are you willing to put your signature on those loans and so forth? So that's a real tough thing, and that's what it takes. And you can see, I would talk with the guys and say, they come here to tell you with business models and so forth, try to get into business. What do we try to do with them? Well, the majority of them, the vast majority of them, our job is to talk them out of going into business, because they shouldn't be. And we can see that. So I think that's one of the problems. But if you got the right guy that's willing to put in the work, that's the other thing. You can wear all the hats if you've got those systems in place. But the guys that try to wear all the hats and don't have any of that, they don't have enough capital to get started. So they're constantly scrapping for cash. They don't understand their numbers. They don't know if they're making money or not, or how to invest. They'll go out and hire sales guys. Well, the numbers don't work. If you're going to pay a sales guy 10%, and you're making 30% gross profit, say, I mean, it's just a problem. And that's what the franchise, the things that we're talking about, roofer in a box, well, that's what the franchises do. And not only do you put $200,000 down in cash, which is what you could have used to build out your company, but then you're getting 8% skimmed off the top. Well, how does that model work financially? I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. Scott, go on. How are we going to do this?
Well, it's funny you said that 200 grand. I had a company that approached me wanting me to buy them out in a market that we were just getting started in, and they wanted $200,000 for their company. It came with a couple junky old trucks, like probably about, in my eyes, it was about 40 grand worth of tangible assets. The rest of it was just the business. And, I didn't laugh at the guy because he was doing about $2 million a year. So, I mean, he had a nice little business, 1.7 or something like that. But I told him, I said, look, if I put $200,000 into ad space, what do you think that would look like? Because you wouldn't exist in that little market. If I put $200,000 a year in 1 year into ad space, I would absolutely dominate that entire area. It's a small area. You know what I mean? County population of 40,000 or so. It's not a big, but I'm like, that just doesn't really make sense. But no, I think that to me, the recipe is, and John, has a real similar setup to me on his tech stack and whatnot. But basically, you don't just need the tech stack. You need the tech stack built that works. So like for us, we use ProLine. It's so customizable to your business. And I have fine-tooth comb this thing. If it can be tailored to boost sales, boost leads, anything that I can possibly do with that piece of technology to improve my gross profit, net profit, leads, everything, I've done it inside of there, and I continue to work on it. So taking my ProLine and plugging it into a $500,000 business would automatically increase revenue and margins for that kind of automatically 100% guarantee. You got to have a couple other things. You got to have QuickBooks Online. Don't get the desktop version. Get QuickBooks Online. Have an account. Have a CPA. Set it up right. You've got someone. John's got someone. And then but that's not really changing sales. The other piece is Company Cam. Having Company Cam to help with sales for inspections, to help with production. So you're not. I've got a guy I work with in a group, and he just started. We started working on Company Cam and how to. He's an owner operator, no employees. So every day he's spending hours on the job site during the build, and I'm like, dude, why are you wasting so much time? Like, he knows roofing, but his guys are pretty good. But it's like, just have him fill out this checklist with photos each day during install. And you can be at sales appointments all day instead of screwing around watching these guys like a bird dog. It makes no sense. You're literally just burning money because you could be out, following up, sales calls, doing appointments, doing inspections, knocking doors, whatever. Those couple things just could add, those two pieces right there could get you to $2 million if you used them correctly. But that's easier said than done.
Right. And the ProLine, it's a no-brainer. But what you said about, supervising the jobs, I work with contractors that they have a guy that's standing out there basically babysitting. I go, what the hell is this? That's how much is this? We can't have that. He says, well, I want to, the guys won't do the work otherwise. I got to make sure they do the job. So I'm like, you got to train your crews, whether they're subs or not. You got to hold them responsible. And you're right, with Company Cam, with our checklists, our perfect 10s that we use, this is how we do it. And you pay the guys well. This is how you're going to do it our way. Okay. I don't care what anybody else does, but this is the T-Bay way. So otherwise it doesn't make sense, but you're right with having that CRM set up and using it right. Great example is Chris, one of our mastermind members, and what you're doing with him. This is exactly, he's a contractor doing a couple $1 million, and it's right where he's at. And he works really hard. He's got a great business, but he's not able to take the time off that he wants. And, he's wanting to make some changes and kick back a little bit. So what we're doing, it starts with that. It starts with the CRM. And Scott, you came in and built this out, and spent a bunch of time with him. And this thing is going to be ready to go. Right? What's the deal?
Yeah, I think Chris is a perfect example. He's not a $500,000 contractor. He's kicking ass already, but
He was
He's
at
putting
some
in,
point, so
yeah, he
yeah.
was, but he's also still wearing a lot of hats and putting a ton of time into hitting the numbers he's hitting. I think once he gets Proline fully implemented in his business, his time is gonna
Yeah.
he's gonna have a lot more free time. Or the flip side, he could grow more without hiring anybody. So,
Right.
I don't know what he was doing. If he's doing around $2 million, I truly believe just implementing that CRM and truly using it, he could get to 3 to 4 million. He's got a little bit of a sales team already, but he could get 3 to 4 million without additional hires, just maintaining what he's got and using that software. I mean, you're talking $800 a month. I mean, what's an employee cost? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If $800 a month piece of tech can grow your business $1 million a year, that's an absolute no brainer. You
Yeah.
do that every year, every month, time after time, if you could.
Yeah, and we're bringing in SMA, the virtual assistants that we talk about all the time. They're a sponsor of the show. They're freaking awesome SMA support, but they're coming in and they're going to do all his back end, all his inside sales, and that's how he's going to be able to get out and go out and sell all these roofs. I mean, he enjoys that part. He just doesn't like all the bullshit that goes on in running the business. And SMA is going to really help him with that. And that, I think, is going to be a great model. That's exactly what we're talking about. And he's going to really, make a jump. But he's also the right guy. I mean, he's a smart guy, great entrepreneur, hardworking. He understands that he's great with customers, great with people. And that's what really, I think, makes the difference. But you're right. And what you're doing with him, I mean, he just loves it. It's just turned his business around completely. John, any thoughts? Kind of like how you run yours.
Yes, it's very similar. I mean, we're beating a dead horse at this point about like the strategies of those types of businesses and what the right processes, the right people to put in place. Yeah, it just takes work. I think a theme that we're talking about, we're saying it, but I think it needs to emphasized again is like, it's still a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Like it is. It just depends on, if you do a lot of front end work, especially with the tech stack, and I have the same tech stack that Scott does. I mean, I think Company Cam's amazing.
We all do.
We use Proline. We use QuickBooks Online. If you have these tools and you have them optimized and they're actually helping you, then the type of hard work that you do is going to be more enjoyable. Like it's still going to be hard work, but it's you're not just doing all the drudgery zone things, the things that you don't like and you're not good at. You're typically going to be doing in the World Class Assistant book, the desire zone, the things that you're good at and things that you like to do. That's what we all want to do. Whatever we're doing in our profession, our businesses, we want to be doing things that we like to do and that we're good at. That's going to give us more satisfaction in what we do, and less of the stuff we hate.
Love it. Let's touch on the sales, building this sales team, salesmen. How do we pay them, so forth. That was a good conversation. Let's just drop on that because this is an area where so many guys have a tough time. They don't hire. They don't know how to hire good people. Okay, they don't from the beginning. They're not attracting the right guys. They don't know how to bring them on. They don't know how to onboard them, and they don't know how to manage them once they get them. And they either don't produce, or it's a revolving door. Scott, you got a great team. Well, you both have great teams. Let's start with you, Scott. What do you think, and how do you make it work? Because we were talking about some of these companies that are paying these crazy commissions that don't make sense. Other guys don't pay them enough. Cradle to grave, we had that discussion. What do you think?
So I pay my guys 7% commission of the sale. Cradle to grave salesmen. They are W-2 employees. The truck, the fuel, everything's provided. Health insurance. So they. I mean, it's probably similar, I would guess, to paying 10%, probably, if they supplied their own pickup truck and. We're a 1099 employee. So yeah, I mean, we're probably on par for the course, I guess, the more I think about it. But, you see all this stuff in these Facebook groups, and I think it's very misleading because people say that it's 10 to 12% commission, but they need to make sure that they understand there's a difference if you're 1099 or you're W-2 and if you're supplying things or you're not. And like in the Facebook groups, you see this all the time. Someone's saying that they're getting 15% commission, and then every sales rep that's ever existed is commenting, oh, well, my guy's screwing me. I'm not making shit. Well, hold on a second. That guy that makes 15% has to pay for everything. He has to put fuel in the truck. He has to pay insurance on the truck. He gets a few polos and a hat. You know what I mean? But other than that,
He gets his own leads.
right. And he's got to go beat doors down to find those leads or work his personal social profiles to generate leads. We provide over 90% of I would say it's damn near 100% of our leads to our guys. So it's a little different, but yeah, I think we're all kind of in that same realm. It's just how it's structured, but at the end of the day, I mean, all the sales reps listening to this right now are going to call me a piece of shit, but it's the cushiest job on the planet for what you make. I have worked a lot of jobs, and let me tell you something. If I would have ever got the opportunity to be a roofing sales rep in this industry, in this market today, I'd have never started my own business because I can sell my freaking ass off and not have any headaches or any stress, just go sell all day, every day. And I'd have made a bunch of money, so it's like, and not ever worked that hard, but, we need them. We have to have those guys, and we have to have guys that are good at it. The hardest part with finding good sales reps, you were asking, how do you find good sales reps? Again, we've talked about this. I know John and I have talked about this many times. You got to find guys who care deeply about the customer, have high level of integrity. I don't care about your roofing experience. I really don't care about any of that stuff. I want to know that you're going to show up. You're going to suggest the best option for that customer. If it means not selling the replacement because it's only 6-year-old roof and a $800 repair would fix it. That's what I want you selling. I want you to be honest and upfront with the customers. That to me is what you have to find. You have to find someone that is an honest, caring individual that's going to take care of customers, because that's what turns into referrals. That $800 repair that you didn't sell the replacement on may turn into 3 replacement jobs over the course of the year. You might not know it directly, but you always get great reviews when the other 3 contractors said, oh no, it's shot, we got to replace it. And then you show up as the superhero, and $800 later, they've got a great roof for the next 15 to 20 years because you made a quality repair.
But here's the thing, you mentioned earlier, whether or not all you're responsible for is making the sale, you flip it over, and then you go to the next deal. You're talking cradle to grave, which means you're taking the customer all the way through the journey, the whole customer experience, it's doing everything, managing the job, getting the review, on and on. So your guys make a lot of money. And just real quick is that you have to be aligned with the amount of money that they think they're going to make and what they can make, because here's their goal. Okay, come back and work the numbers backwards. But you're doing a lot of stuff. How do these guys produce and make the income based on that 7%, where most guys would say you're screwing them over and so forth? But end of the day, they make a ton of dough.
They make a bunch of money. And, I actually offered earlier in this year to hire a production manager and split that up, and just to give them more opportunity to spend time in sales. I wasn't going to cut their commission. I wasn't going to do nothing. All I was going to do was increase our gross margin a little bit to be able to cover the cost of this production manager, 1% or 2%, like not a huge piece. I brought that to them, and they said, absolutely not. We sell better at this price point if we add, margin to the job that is essentially just overhead margin. We're going to lose potential sales because of it. And my guys, because of the systems we have, I asked them, I said, how much time when you sell a job, how much time are you investing with that job if you didn't have a production manager? Because my guys are always going to collect the check. The sales guy, I feel like, I don't care how you run your business, the sales guy should collect the check. That's just my opinion. So you have to do that anyway. You're the one that made the trust. You built the relationship. You sold them that dollar amount. That dollar amount should go in that person's hands, period. That's what I think. But they're like, I said, you want this? They said it literally consumes about an hour of effort per project for us to manage our own projects. Okay, sounds good. Well, if you're willing to spend an hour, because they sell, they're doing usually one job a day. If they're willing to dedicate 1 hour a day to production without hiring somebody to take that on, I'm all for it, because I think that there's an hour in the day, because a lot of that's done during drive time. Remember, that's they may be calling an order of material on their way to their next appointment, so that was done during driving time. They may be calling the crew about tomorrow's job to give them the work order during drive time. So it's not necessarily an hour of dedicated focused time. So, to me, it's, I don't understand the production model. I just don't get it, because it's like there's the handoff can get messy. There's a chance of error. There's room for error for sure, because you're handing it off to another person. That person has never spoke with the customer. Now the customer's got to deal with another person when they already have a relationship with the first person. There's just room for error, and that does not come with a cradle to grave salesman. People will talk shit and say, well, good sales guys should only be working on sales. Well, if you have the right systems in place, they pretty much only do work on sales. They just make a couple extra phone calls. And that's literally it. I mean, it truly is.
Different model, but this is also why you're able to take 3 months of vacation a year and go screw around and do whatever you want, because you got this thing dialed in, and it's a great operation. John, same with you. What do you think here? You've got a great business. I think you pay your guy. Your system is set up, I think, the same way. Is that right?
So it's very similar. I could not agree more with what Scott said about how you hire and who you hire. I mean, we put out ads for, sales guys, and we would get tons of them immediately, because my description for the sales guys would be great. But I found that the people that I've hired have always been in my personal network for each one of these markets. And that's worked out really well, because they feel connected to their community, and it's just much easier for them and the business to grow if those individuals are of high integrity. Everybody loves them. They're going to do the right thing. I don't care if they know, like Scott said, I don't care if they know anything about roofing. We can train all that. That is very easy. Residential roofing is not that difficult. We joke, Clay and I joke a lot, because this is his first year in roofing. He's been remodeling for like 30 years, but he doesn't know anything about roofing. So I'm like, every, nuanced thing is a new lesson for him. Like, this is what I had to do. And there's no way for me to teach you everything. But like, he's taking it, he's rolling with it, and he's taking care of customers. That's what matters the most, is that he's taking care of customers. He's doing the right thing. He's respectful of our crews. He's kind to the crew. He's just a good person. That's who I want to hire. And so for compensation for us, there's no base salary. It's just 10% of revenue, as long as the ProLine profit margin is 30%. That's minimum. We're shooting for 40%. Cameron is very good about trying to upsell to get to 40% for add-ons and things like that. So we're trying to hit closer to 40%. We've not 2024, but every other year we've been like upper 30s, up 38 to 41 or 42% gross profit. So we've been doing it for all those years. We're going to keep trying to do the same thing. So they get 10% of any job like that. In this came up in Facebook quite a bit. The question was like, he didn't hit his margin. It was like 28.5%. This is the example. And then the owner wasn't going to pay any commission. Well, that's an asshole thing to do. Don't do that. Just cut the commission by the percentage point that they didn't hit. It's a very simple answer. I don't know why that owner would ever do that to the sales rep who spent all the time with the customer and selling it and all this stuff. So that's what we do. If it doesn't hit 30%, it drops down every percentage point that they don't hit. Some of the stuff's in their control. Some of the stuff's out of their control. And I totally get it. But we have a company culture that we want the company to win, not John to win. We want the company to win so that we can continue to invest in all the marketing efforts that we do. They get all the apparel. They get, I've spent $24,000 this year on wrapped vehicles. They get wrapped vehicles. They're going to get the $100 polo shirts. They're going to get all the apparel that they need. They're going to get postcard campaigns. They're getting door hangers to go door hang. They're getting yard signs galore. We're giving them, I pay for cell phones. They have a company credit card, so they're not paying for any fuel. One of the guys has their own truck that we wrapped, so we pay him a stipend. The other one, it's my truck, and they drive it. It's the same cost for the company. They get one lunch a day with the company credit card. Like, we make it so easy. I want them to be selling and not thinking about, I don't want to pay for lunch. I'm like, pay for lunch. Buy yourself lunch. Don't be hungry out there dying because you're not selling for some reason. So it's my mentality that I want people to want to work with me and want to work in our organization so that we can continue that culture. I don't want any cancer in there. I don't want anyone that has a bad attitude or doesn't want to be there. I want people that want to work with us and want to grow it together. That's what it's what I always wanted. I want my life personally to be the least stressful it can be, because these players on my team are achieving their goals, and I have goals for them. I want them to hit certain revenue goals, and like their goals that they've never hit before financially. They've never hit them, not even close. And I laid out a plan: this many estimates a week, this many this many leads a week, this many estimates a week, this many roofs, and we do a 40-week window. Because it's really 40 weeks what I see year over year of actual like productive work. Some people may have more. It's not about weather. It's more about holidays, schools getting in, schools getting out, tack on holidays again. So in 40 weeks, how many roofs can you sell? And then what's the average ticket? And then what's the average gross profit margin? And then what's your average commission? And lay it out. Here's what to expect. If you hit these numbers, this is what you'll make. And that's rewarding for me to always have a goal, a carrot for those guys to understand. It's just very clear. Just like, these are the activities you have to do to achieve these goals financially. And they both have all the time in the world to spend with their families, to coach soccer, to coach volleyball, to do all the things they want. That's what I want. I want for myself. And it's a holistic approach to not just, this is a sales rep that I hired. It is, I want these people to enjoy every day and every week that they work with us.
So important. You said a bunch of things. First off, having them on the same page. Laying out, here's what you need to do to hit these goals. So everybody's clear. And what you said about this guy that just docked this guy's commission. Okay. If you ever screw with somebody's money, sales guy's money, and he thinks you're taking advantage of him, that's over. I mean, you're screwed. You can never have that. That's why transparency is so important. But if you want to have a business that you can sustain and that you're going to make it, and you're not going to get beat up, and by the end of the road, you're dead because you're fighting with these guys all the time. You should never have to do that. But it all starts with having the right guys and hiring guys with good character, guys you like, guys that are good with customers, and also wanting to do the right thing. It is so important. And particularly if you're going to pay based on off the sale, okay? Because obviously there's a opportunity to go lowball the bid and say, oh, sure, I'll match that because I get the same commission, okay? You can't have that. You've got to have guys that see the long run. And this is what I did. I had similar setup in the commercial business, had 4 guys selling roofs, and they were paid, straight off the sale. So, and the problem was if they had every opportunity to go, lowball the job, and they would have sold that and made a lot of more money. However, I kept that really clear. I mean, we had boards of who's getting the right, who's getting what. As far as margin, hitting their margins, they knew what they had to do. And there's just that, because they are who they are, wanting to go out and get that extra dollar that we need, get that extra 1 or 2 points on the sale, as you were saying, John. I mean, it's just so important. And, but that's the danger, is you've got to have the right guys that are going to go out there, and even though they're going to get the same commission, they got to go out there and want to charge enough money where the company's making a good profit. The problem about paying based on gross profit is that, as you said, John, what do you have control over? Okay. Because what happens all the time, you've got your A, B, and C crew, for instance, where your A crew is always kicking ass and doing these things. And now I've got, well, I'm always getting the lousy crews, and that's the problem. Hey, Chuck breaks down on the way to the job. That's not my fault, which is true. They don't have control over that when things screw up. That's the downside of paying on gross profit, which truly makes more sense because we're all sharing in the profit. So great points. Hire good people that you want to hang out with and keep them and stop having these revolving doors. Love it. Okay. And I think last, Scott, we wanted to talk about, hey, coming into winter here, things are slowing down. What the hell do we do?
Yeah. I can tell you what we're going to do. I hope. I plan on. We plan on
build a chicken coop.
Yeah. Well, I just got done building a chicken coop, so I'm done with that task. No, I want to really work on training and ironing out some things. One of the big ones is we just enrolled in Chris Scoville's Improvify finance training. We have always struggled to sell financing, and I believe it's solely on the fact, and I believe all contractors that struggle to sell financing is because you don't understand financing. We're not bankers. We're not lenders. I don't even know what a lot of the terms mean. You know what I mean? I still don't personally. And I've gotten, countless amounts of loans buying real estate and stuff, and I have no idea what a lot of these terms even mean. Get educated to the point that you truly understand the financing world. I think that's a big one. That for us, that's going to be a big one this year. We'll do our ongoing roof training we always do through GAF. They've got fantastic training modules. I know GAF and Owens Corning both have fantastic training modules. I've done both of them. I do them every year just to kind of stay up to snuff on all that. That's two of our big ones. And then I hired a guy that has a very, very good background in canvassing, and his canvassing background is actually in retail canvassing. So it's very different than, you guys in Florida, you guys in Texas, even in Savannah, where you're knocking doors for storm damage and selling insurance. His background is in West Virginia, where insurance, you might as well not even have it, because honest to God, they don't do anything for you. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. And let me tell you this, it's the most expensive too. So I think it's like 12% higher than Ohio on average, and they do nothing. There is no laws, like nothing. So anyway, we're going to do some real training on retail canvassing through him, because he's got a great system and a great program that I think could be really beneficial to try to help boost some leads. We already do some local stuff around builds that we do, but this is going a step further and really taking action at knocking on the door, trying to make a relationship with homeowners in the communities that you're in, not just throwing a door hanger on the 20 houses around the one you're working on, but actually making a physical effort at it. So he's got a great system, great scripts, the whole nine. So I'm excited to basically bring him into the office instead of just selling, bring him into the office and train all of our salespeople on his system.
What are you going to do on the finance end? So are you set up your budgets? Do you have your forecasts? You've got a business plan? You going to do increases over next year? How are you going to do that? Do you get into any of that?
So I will do that. That'll be something I will be working on. Absolutely. As the owner, that is things I will be actively working on. I work on that stuff regularly though. That's not just a winter thing for me. This year we've adjusted, oh my God, must be 8 times, what our goals were and kind of what we needed to do to hit these marks. And, because last year we did about $7 million in revenue. This year, I don't think we're going to get there, and that's really disappointing because we were really hoping to break 10 million this year. The market, our leads are like about 25% what they were last year. And, so our sales strategy is working well. If we get in front of somebody, sales strategy has been great. We just haven't had the opportunities we had in previous years. It's been the slowest lead volume year we've ever had.
Why do you think that is?
Depends on how political you want to get.
Let's move on.
No, I mean, I've said this before, and this is probably beating a dead horse, but we're in a fog state of an economic downturn. It's not an economic downturn. People are working. People have money right now. But everybody, it's the mentality of a financial downturn that has everybody scared to death to spend their money. They're making it. They have it. They're just sitting on it and waiting. Obviously, I'm pretty optimistic now that the election has passed. I was optimistic no matter what. Honest to God, I think no matter what happened during the election, 25 is going to be better because the fear is gone, or the thought of unknown is gone. And election years are always tough, but when you're dealing with the division that we're dealing with right now, an election year is catastrophic, I think. So I think no matter what, it's going to be better. I think because of the outcome for roofing contractors, we should have a killer 25. I got a text the morning after the election results. This old dude that I'm good friends with that I talk to regularly. He said, "Buckle down and build your business as big as you can in the next 4 years because you're going to have opportunities to do it." And he's a 65-year-old guy, so he's seen a lot. And he's been a contractor. He's owned a business in contracting, different home services his entire life. He's seen the ins and outs. He's seen the ups and downs. So, that gave me some optimism to think, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks this. He's feeling pretty confident too. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. But we're always adjusting. We're always keeping an eye on those numbers to try to make sure we're striving for our goals.
Well, I think that's great about, and we're going to get Chris Scoville back on the show because I know he's made some changes. He's got some great programs, sharp guy. You need to learn financing. I agree, because now you've got interest rates coming down a little bit. And so that makes it a little easier. And if you know how to sell financing, you can really improve your business. So I think that's great. And all the training that you're doing, using this time to get things together. And we talked about this is when you want to, improve your tech stack too. And, put the work in, get your pro line up and going and, and dialed in, all of these things. So, John, you got a lot going on. You don't really shut down. Well, or you tell me, what's your winter going to be like?
For the past 8 years, we've had a slow time from definitely the 2 weeks in November, slow down because of Thanksgiving. Then we actually do roof sometimes. Many times I've roofed Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, like just because it'll be some project that they're trying to get a tax right, whatever it is. There's all kinds of reasons why we'll roof in December, as long as it's not, staying below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But usually it's pretty warm. So theoretically we could keep working throughout the year, but most people stop everything for the holidays, and they don't want to do it during the holidays. So. And then that lingers on into getting kids into school in the first 2 weeks of January. And then, then there's MLK Day, and they're not want to do it then. So, I mean, it's always about 60 days for us in that winter time that we're not really able to do anything. So, yeah, we're just trying to stay as busy as we can, do as many repairs as we can. I want to keep as many of our guys busy as I can. That's what we try to do every year.
What do you think about the financing? You think that's going to...
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, if you can say, Chris Cove always says that you use my money or your money. If you can say, hey, so they're like, I know you don't know this yet, but can you just tell me a ballpark estimate? It's like, yeah, it's probably like $250 a month. Like, what? If you say that, more people over time are going to be like, okay, I'm ready to go. And we've definitely sold more financing this past year than we've ever sold. And really, Improvify is the best one. Currently, Improvify is the best option for home services. The way that they're set up, you pay an annual fee, and then it's a very small dealer fee. It's the best. So now we can just sell same as cash, essentially. We just built in the 2%. And we don't have to have a cash discount or confuse the customer or any. It's just like it's $15,000 or X amount of dollars per month. That's it. I think that's that is the way, because roofing's so expensive now. That's the way we're going to sell a lot of our roofs.
Well, there's an easy way to improve your business, and reach out to Chris Scoville. What's his business now?
Improveify.
Improveify. Okay. We'll get him back on. He was on once before, so you can go back into the archives and pull that up. Sharp guy. Great. He will teach you how to sell financing. So, as a wrap, if you want to hang out with smart guys like this, you should look into joining our mastermind groups that John and I run, and get in touch with me. They're great. We talk about these things all the time and help each other out. It's awesome. And if you want to get your act together, get your business together, and build a plan out and get ready for 2025, you might get in touch with me. I'm doing right now roof audits, or business audits, where we go through and we look at all of these factors that we're talking about in your business, really kind of give it a score, and then make improvements. Use this time to really build your business. So again, if you're interested in that, that's what I do. Guys, John, anything to add?
Keep trucking along. Survive the winter.
There you go. Scott, how to build a chicken coop. Get in touch with Scott if you need to know.
Part-time farmer, full-time roofer.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Hey, it's always a pleasure. I mean, I always learn so much every time I talk to you guys, the mastermind groups and so forth. But thanks so much for coming on. That was awesome information. And we'll see you both in the mastermind tomorrow. So thanks so much.